Get out your passport. Today we're taking a trip to Toronto. Take a ride on the city's iconic red streetcar and you will feel transported to New York City's Times Square, the bustling streets of Beijing, or the roadside food stalls of Mumbai. Our homeowner, David, is a hands-on guy who isn't afraid to tackle a big project.
I started to renovate my kitchen in the fall. I spent a lot of time designing and building the island here, and I wouldn't want it ruined by improper plumbing hookup.
I'll show David how to make simple watertight connections and an easy solution for his drain that'll save him time and money. All right, so the island has had a lot of hard work done already. You've got your countertop already installed, the sink, the holes for the faucet have been drilled. And down here is where our work's going to begin. Now we've got to connect the water to the faucets. You've got a hot and a cold right here. That's going to come up to the faucets, but also to the ice maker over at the refrigerator and the supply to the dishwasher right here with hot water. And once we get that connected, we also have to do some drain work. So we do a drain right here. We have to vent it. It's going to come over and take the drains from the sinks. And we also have the dishwasher connection to make right here. And why don't we start by turning off the water so we can put some shut-off valves right here. Why don't you go downstairs and turn the water off?
Okay. I shut off the main water and I opened up the hot and cold tap in the basement.
All right, well, good. Opening the taps is really important. You want to get the water out of those pipes so it doesn't come out of the pipes down here when we cut those supply lines. All right, speaking of supply lines, we're going to run hot and cold right here to these fittings. Pretty interesting fitting. It's a T fitting, but it also has a shutoff valve right here. You see this is big enough for the dishwasher supply from the hot side. And on this side, it's a little smaller, 1/4 inch, and that goes to the ice maker. We're going to cut short pieces of copper right here, and here's our hot and cold shutoff for our faucet. But you'll note that we're not using a torch. These are solderless connections.
No torch.
No torch.
That's good.
But we do have to cut a pipe. So this is our imp cutter. It's made to get into tight places, and that's for you, and our work begins.
Okay, let's get going.
All right. I'd like you to cut the left-hand pipe, the hot, just below that cap, all right, as high as you can get it.
Okay.
And the right-hand one to about 2 inches down.
Okay.
All right. What do you got there? 4 on the left, so 2 on the right-hand one. Perfect. All right. And can you just clean the end of those pipes for me?
But you said we weren't soldering.
Right, but I still like to know that I have a clean connection for these compression fittings. All right. Now, the essence of a compression connection is to use the nut and the ferrule. Now, the nut is right here, and the brass ring is called a ferrule. The way this connection works is that the nut goes down over the pipe, the ferrule goes next, and then we have to be sure to put the pipe all the way into the fitting. And once that's in and we tighten up this nut, it's going to deform that ferrule so tight against the copper pipe that it's a watertight seal. And one thing I always like to do is just a little touch of pipe dope on that ferrule. And then we tighten up with 2 wrenches. Now I can make all these connections up here except for the final 2 right here. It's a lot easier above that sink. I'm using 2 adjustable open-end wrenches, and there are no teeth on it. That means there'll be no marks, and I can hold back against the fitting. Let me just hold it. All right, so those are all made. Now, with the shutoffs in place, why don't you run down and put the water back onto the house?
I'm on it.
All right.
The water's back on. Now what?
Well, time to install the faucet. And it is really quite the faucet you've selected. It has a spout like any kitchen faucet does. Has a control unit here to select hot or cold. But this one actually has a solenoid as well, connected to a battery. And that means when you touch the spout, it goes on. You touch it again, it goes off. But it still starts with the same basic connection, that is installing the spout. All right, the spout swivel okay?
Yeah, it works great.
All right. Can you pass me now the control unit down through the right-hand hole with all those tubes? Yep. Super.
Here she comes.
All right, just hold it in place while I tighten it up, please. All right, and this is also called a compression connection. We just tighten up that nut, again with an adjustable open end. But no pipe dope on a plastic connection. And now the cold. All right, it's time to start our drain work, and that's pretty straightforward. But at an island, venting is the real challenge.
What do you mean by that?
Well, typically, a kitchen sink would be mounted in a countertop like this, and that's up against a wall. And so that allows us to do traditional piping. What I mean by that is there's a trap underneath the kitchen sink, and that runs into the wall, and the water goes down through the drain here. But this pipe right here is a vent, and that continues inside the wall and connects with all the other vents in the building and exits through the roof. And it's really important to make a drain properly. It won't gurgle. So what am I going to do, David? Am I going to put this right here and run a pipe up through your countertop?
I hope not.
Well, in my world, the code requires that I do something like this. This is called a bow vent. This piping arrangement would fit underneath the island. Here's your trap. The water comes down from the sink. It goes down here and goes right outside the building, right? But at this point and above, it's now a vent. And here's the vent pipe coming up as high as it can under the island. It comes down here. Now it has to go to a point below the floor level right here. And this pipe is still a vent, continues under the floor, into the wall, and reconnect with the vent system out through the roof. And that is a lot of work. But in many states, and here in Canada, I can do something different. I can introduce something like this. It's an air admittance valve. So here's our drain right here. Here's our vent. But at this point, right underneath the kitchen cabinet, I can install it, and it'll allow air in to break the vacuum, but it won't allow sewer gas to come out. Let me show you. This is a clear mock-up. So now you've got a sink filled with water, and you let it go. It's going to try to pull the air in. When it's done, if methane gas is pushing out of the way, it would seal it off.
So what you're saying is this one little vent here underneath my sink will replace all of this?
Absolutely, and it'll fit right underneath the cabinet. Let's get started. So here's the anatomy of our drainage for this island sink. We have two bowls, so there are two basket strainers. The water is going to come down through this tailpiece on this side with a branch to connect to the dishwasher. On this side, the water comes down to this T, into a trap, into our drain, and we'll have the vent right here. But it starts by putting a little bit of putty on these basket strainers. So why don't you open up right there. All right, so take a little bit and just warm it up in your hands, make it into a long snake. And just wrap it right around there when you get it long enough. Good. You snake charmer, you.
How's that?
Perfect. There's one. Once you go underneath, I'll push these down. You're going to take this assembly with you. We'll do one at a time. All right, right hand bowl coming down. Snug it up, and I'm going to pass you these pliers big enough to snug it up. Don't over tighten it, just give it a good snug, please. All right, putty's squeezing out. I think that's tight enough. Good, let's do the other side. All right, to make our final drain connections, it starts by installing this tailpiece up against the bottom of the basket strainer. That helps to establish where our trap's going to reside. So it sits right here, and now I need to make sure that this pipe is at the right height to go to the trap, and I've already cut that. And when I glue it, I have to be sure I get this at the right angle. I only have one shot at it. So I'm going to measure one more piece right here, and we can glue it all together. All right, David, there's your mark, 1 3/4 inches.
Okay.
Let's give that a cut, please. Try and make it as square as you can get it. Good.
I think we're done.
One more time. Yep. There we go. Super. All right, so now we can glue it. We're using ABS, this black plastic. It's a little different for me. We normally use PVC. One thing about it is it doesn't have a separate cleaner. It only has the glue. So now I'm going to just push that together and hold it. All right, so now I'm going to glue up the TY and the starter piece. Here we go. Good. All right, just thread our valve in. I like to get them up as high as I can in the cabinet. Okay, good. All right, David, just need to measure this last horizontal piece, this branch elbow. Now, I noticed no disposer.
Not very many people up here use disposers. The municipality encourages us to compost.
That's cool. That'll put me out of business, wouldn't it?
Never.
All right, well, I'm cutting this brass piece with a cutter, slightly larger than my normal one. Makes a beautiful cut. There we go. Perfect. I got lucky. Okay, good. Now our very last connection is this, and that's the connection for the dishwasher. That sticks right onto this branch. And once it's on, we'll snug it up with this stainless steel clamp, and we are good to go. Okay, we have made all of our connections. New shutoff going to our dishwasher, hot faucet, cold to ice maker. Here's our discharge from our dishwasher. All new drain system here with a trap and a proper vent. Time to turn the water back on.
Looks great, Richard.
Here we go. It's hot. Cold. All right, David, why don't you do the honors?
Here goes.
Good. Water's on. I want to try that touch feature. Isn't that cool?
Fantastic. Thanks, Richard, for coming to the Toronto area to help me with my plumbing. I really appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Look at this.
Tommy, you have been busy in the off season. Did you go shopping?
I did go shopping, but it's not hard work when I'm shopping for tools.
It is not.
I got a new table for a miter saw, a band saw, a table saw, pulled out the old drill press. Over here we've got a router table and a big vacuum to collect all this dust.
You got a lot of stuff. And what most people don't know is we've actually got a small workshop here. It's no bigger than a one-car garage, but everything fits.
Right, and a lot of people have their home workshops in their garage, and they want to be able to pull the car in at night. So they have to manhandle those tools out of the way. But we've got wheels on the bottom of all of our tools so we can push them out of the way.
And then when we start working, we can pull out the piece we need. And one piece you need a lot is a good workbench.
Good workbench. Now right here we have a vise on this side, but down here we have another vise on the end. Now look at this vise. It opens right up. There's actually wood on the inside, and they're magnetic. And that wood is there to protect our piece of wood that we want to work on so we don't damage it.
Wood on wood is a lot better than metal on wood.
Exactly. Now, right here, this is a bench dog. Bench dog fits in those holes right here on the side of the table. The vise has a bench dog on it also. Pull that up. Push this down. I adjust the height so it's not higher than my wood, so I won't damage it with my tool. The wood in there. Push the vise. Clamp it down. And now I can work on that piece, and I don't have to worry about it moving around.
A quick, simple way to clamp that down. And because we've got these holes all in a line with the vise, you can actually take one of the bench dogs, put it down here, and now you can work on a longer piece of wood.
Exactly. Now let's say I wanted to work on a piece of wood and I wanted to do some carving, or I wanted to route an edge, or something that was simple and quick. This is a hold fast. It actually goes in the hole, put it down, I tap it with my hammer, and that piece of wood is not going to go anywhere.
And this is really simple, just working on friction. This is a narrow shaft in a wider hole. And when you put it in there, it kind of torques, you knock it in, not going anywhere.
To break it free, hit it with a hammer, and I'm out.
Very nice. All right. So, can I interest you in a cookie?
A cookie. Now you laugh, but these things are pretty cool.
It's just a little puck, and it's got a rubber pad on both sides, and that rubber does a pretty good job of actually grabbing the wood.
Right, and this maple is slippery, so if I wanted to work on this piece of wood, and let's say I wanted to sand it, I'd have to hold it down like this or put a clamp in it to keep it from moving around.
Or 1 cookie, 2 cookie, 3 cookie, 4.
That's right. Drop it on there, put my piece of wood on top, and look it, that's not going to go anywhere.
And it's amazing how many times something like that is all you need to hold a piece of wood.
Right, but what a great feature about this top is I haven't told you yet. On the right-hand side over there, there's a foot pedal. Push down on it, hold on to the top, it'll drop right down.
So
Now,
adjustable.
It's adjustable. So now if I wanted to work on a cabinet, up high here, I've got a workbench at the right height.
And because it's adjustable, you can pull it up to just the right height, wheel it in place, and now you've got an outfeed table for your table saw. Bring it up a little higher, and it's an outfeed for your bandsaw.
That's right. So if you've got a long piece of wood and you're trying to push it through, you don't need anybody on the other side to hold it.
So a lot of uses out of just one piece right here. All right, well, we'll be talking about all the pieces throughout the course of the season while we make some projects. And so far as I'm concerned, it's shaping up to be a great season.
I'm ready to get started. Are you?
Now, how come I didn't get to go shopping with you?
No way.
In nature, a seed falls from a tree, it lands on the forest floor, and if it's lucky enough, it germinates. It becomes a seedling. Then it progresses on to a sapling. Then it turns into a mature tree like this white pine. But what I wanted to show you today is at the base of this white pine. You see where the tree comes down and then flares out? That's called a root flare. You can see the individual roots growing out right on the surface. That's how a tree grows in nature.
That's nature, Roger. That's not what we have here in this lawn area. Pretty much every tree on this property has been planted incorrectly.
Every tree?
Very often people don't simulate what they see in nature when they plant a tree.
Well, it's not that hard to do.
Let me show you this right here. Show me the root flare on this tree right here.
I don't see a root flare, Matt. It looks like a telephone pole going in the ground.
This is the classic mulch volcano. What the landscapers do is keep on piling mulch year after year after year, causing this mulch volcano.
But it's just mulch. How can it hurt the tree?
It's suffocating the root mass. The roots actually breathe. By putting all this mulch on top of it, it suffocates it, causing the bark to fall off. This tree's a goner. It's going to have to be removed.
You're kidding me.
I'm going to excavate this and show you what the problem is.
Great.
I'm just going to use this cultivator and do some excavation here. See what's going on. Oh, I see drip irrigation on top of the root ball. I never like to see it on top of the root ball. I'd rather see it out over here to get the fibrous root mass breaking out in the direction that we want it.
Right. We want those roots growing out, not up into the ball.
Correct.
Now, can we get this drip line out of here?
Yeah, let's cut it right out of there. Make it easy to dig in here.
Sure will. That's much better. Now, look at all these secondary root system.
That's really something, isn't it, Roger?
Yeah, and that secondary root system isn't good. It indicates that the primary root system is suffocated down below, and these roots have come up and grown into the mulch looking for oxygen.
That's right, Roger. This secondary root system, when it comes up into the mulch volcano, it's the first to get cooked by the sun in the summertime. It's also the first to get burnt by the frost in the wintertime. Additionally, these roots will circle around the main stem, compacting this area, further girdling the tree in the future.
A girdling root will actually dig into the tree and can cause it to die over time.
It's a slow death.
Look at all these trees in this lawn area. They are all perched in a mulch volcano.
Oh, it's just horrible. I see it all the time. This is a perfect example of a tree that cannot be saved as a result of this mulch volcano. All this mulch suffocates the root system. When the roots can't draw moisture up, the bark falls off and the tree dies.
So the bark dies, exposing all the wood underneath.
Right.
There any here we can save?
I'll show you this one over here. Looks pretty good.
Oh, a little cherry.
It's got a nice full-formed crown on it. I don't see any of the bark falling off. I'd start out by removing all this mulch.
Let's get to it.
There's lots of secondary roots here.
Yeah, see this big one here is going right against the trunk of the tree, so that'll end up being a girdler.
Yep, that'll be a culprit, won't it? Well, that's about all we'll do with the hand tools, Roger. The rest of it we'll take out with a power tool. I have a compressor here that I'm going to fire up. Then compress air down this line to the tool.
Which we're going to use to blast mulch and soil off the tree base. The air wand removes all the soil, but it doesn't damage the roots or the tree. You can actually see the wire baskets, the remnants of it left there from the original planting. Well, Matt, now we can really see that root flare right there.
Yeah, and all these secondary roots that are coming up right here. This one's crossing right over the flare. That would be a problem in the future, wouldn't it? We're going to cut all these roots off that are going up.
So anything coming up gets cut.
Right.
Okay. Okay. We're pretty good on this side. One more.
Yep. Let's get the other side. Oh, Roger, look at this one. Not only does it come up, but it goes in towards the stem of the tree. Yep. That's not good.
This one's almost as bad. It even wraps around the tree, so I'm going to get rid of that. We've got just a few more to go.
Yeah, it's looking good now. What about this one?
That's gone. Now, with the secondary root system gone, you can really see that primary flare and how it sits right at ground level. All right, we just want to add a little bit of topsoil to fill in some of the voids around the tree. Remember, we do not want to cover the primary root flare. Now we're ready for mulch, but no more volcanoes. Take a look here. There has to be at least 10 or 12 inches of mulch on top of this root ball. What we're going to do is apply a little bit at a time and end up with a layer that's about 2 inches deep.
I don't like to just dump the whole wheelbarrow on there. I like to put it on by hand so we can gauge the depth and make sure we don't have much more than 2 inches.
Now, the mulch is important for a couple of reasons. It keeps the grass from growing up next to the tree, it holds moisture in the soil, and it also keeps weeds from popping up. And most importantly, we're not covering up the root flare.
The way that nature intended it to be.
Roger, I can't tell you how many times I've seen these trees with that big mound of wear.
That's right. You got to remember, whether you're doing planting or mulching, you want to be able to see that root flare when you're done.
All right, good tips, a great show, guys. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Roger Cook. I'm Richard Dewey.
And I'm Tom Silver. For Ask This Old House. So are they all doomed?
No, because everyone's going to pay me to fix them.
Nice business. Good work.
I like it.
Next time on Ask This Old House.
We are out on the road solving your home improvement projects.
I'm going to show a homeowner how to put in a new, beautiful bluestone walkway.
And I'm going to help a homeowner put the finishing touches on his staircase.
And we'll try to figure out, what is it?
I gotta ask, how many of you like garlic?
Oh, yeah.
And wouldn't you like some garlic flavor on your poultry product?
Yeah!
What about it?
That's next time on Ask This Old House. This Old House has much more to show you on pbs.org. Hands-on how-to videos and more. Just tune us in at pbs.org. This Old House magazine, the companion to the television series, provides advice from our experts that you've come to know. You can use your credit card to order 10 monthly issues for $10 by calling 1-800-221-5900.